Have you ever sat at your kitchen table late at night, looked at a stack of bills, and felt this heavy, sinking realization that you are the only safety net your family has? It's a terrifying thought. If you stop working, the machine stops. The lights go out. The future you promised your kids evaporates. We spend our whole lives trying to climb this ladder, thinking that if we just hit a certain number, $1 million, $2 million, that the fear will go away. But I need to tell you something that might hurt a little bit. It might actually make you angry. The financial system, the way it's taught to us in school, the way it's preached on YouTube, the way your parents taught you, it is designed to keep you as a solitary unit. Well, it's designed to keep you lonely. They tell you to get your own credit score, your own mortgage, your own retirement account. Wow, they teach you to be an island. And that is exactly why wealth disappears. Did you know that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation? By the third generation, your grandkids, 90% of that money is gone. Poof. Vanished. All those late nights you worked, all the sacrifices you made, all the "sorry I can't make it to dinner" texts, it all gets washed away because we are building our houses on sand. My name is Zeze, and today we are not going to talk about which stock to buy. We aren't going to talk about skipping lattes. We are going to have a very long, very honest conversation about something called the sovereign family infrastructure. This is the playbook that the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and the billionaires use, but they don't share it because they think it's too complicated for us. They think we can't handle it, but I know you can. If you are the person in your family who feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, the cycle breaker, then this video is for you. I'm going to ask you to do something rare. Put your phone away. Close the other tabs. We are going to spend the next chunk of time rewriting your family's history. If you're ready to stop playing the game and start owning the board, hit that subscribe button, not for me, but as a promise to yourself that you're taking this seriously. Let's get into it. The first thing we have to dismantle is this idea of the self-made man. You hear it all the time. I did this by myself. It's a lie. Nobody builds lasting wealth by themselves. If you look at the most robust financial dynasties in history, they didn't operate as individuals. They operated as a corporation. They operated as a tribe. Right now, your family probably operates like a group of strangers who happen to live in the same house. You have your checking account. Your spouse has theirs. Maybe you have a joint one for groceries. Your kids, when they turn 18, they go out into the cold world, take on massive student debt, get a credit card with a predatory interest rate, and struggle for 10 years just to get back to zero. Well, why do we do this? Why do we send our children out to be slaughtered by the banks? The wealthy don't do that. The wealthy create what I call an internal economy. Imagine this scenario. Your daughter wants to buy a car. In a normal middle-class family, she goes to the bank. The bank looks at her flimsy credit history and says, "Sure, we'll lend you the money at 9% interest." She spends the next 5 years paying that bank thousands of dollars in interest. That money leaves your family. It goes to the bank CEO's bonus. It's gone forever. Now, look at the sovereign family. Well, in this model, the family has a pool of capital. We'll talk about how to build this pool later, even if you're broke right now, so stick with me. When the daughter needs a car, she doesn't go to the bank. She applies to the family bank. The family lends her the money. Maybe they charge her 4% interest. Here is the magic. She gets a lower rate than the bank would offer, so she wins. But that 4% interest she pays, it doesn't leave the family. It goes back into the family pot. And the family gets richer because the daughter bought a car. The money stays in the circle. This is a tiny example, but when you scale this up to buying houses, starting businesses, and paying for college, you stop bleeding money to outsiders. You become your own ecosystem. I can feel some of you tensing up. Like, you're thinking, "Zeze, I can barely pay rent. I don't have a family pot of money to lend out." I hear you. And I promised you we'd start from zero. This isn't about having $1 million today. It's about the philosophy you start today. The first step to building this infrastructure isn't financial. It's emotional. You have to hold a meeting. Not a "honey, we spent too much on pizza" meeting. A constitutional convention for your last name. You need to sit down with your partner and eventually your kids and define the business of us. What does your last name stand for? Most families have no mission statement. They just drift. But if you look at a family like the Kennedys or the Vanderbilts, there was a clear, almost military-grade understanding of who they were. We are the people who lead. We are the people who build. You need to write it down. The Smith family values education, ownership, and resilience. We do not spend principal, we only spend interest. This sounds fluffy, I know, but listen to me. If you give $1 million to a kid who has no values, you destroy him. If you give $1 million to a kid who understands that he is a steward of a legacy, you build an empire. You cannot build a bank until you build the culture, so step one is the culture check. Are you raising consumers, or are you raising producers? A consumer child asks, can we buy this? A producer child asks, how can we afford this? The difference in those words is the difference between poverty and wealth. Now let's move to the hard mechanics. How do we actually build the family bank when we are starting with nothing? It starts with the policy of the first brick. You are going to open a separate savings account. This is not your emergency fund. This is not your vacation fund. You are going to name this account the Treasury. It sounds silly, naming your bank account. Do it anyway. Psychology matters. Everything that goes into the Treasury is sacred. It is permanent capital. You never spend the money in the Treasury on liabilities. You only use it to buy assets that pay you back. Let's say you can only put $50 a month in there right now. Fine, do it. But here's the rule. That money is not yours. It belongs to the family corporation. You are just the manager. When that account gets to $1,000 or $5,000, you don't use it to go to Disney. You wait. You wait until you find an opportunity to buy something that generates cash flow. Maybe it's a dividend stock. Maybe it's a lawnmower for your teenager's side business. This brings me to the concept of family venture capital. Usually when a kid wants to make money, parents say, go get a job. They tell them to trade time for money. We need to stop doing that. We need to teach them to trade value for money. Let's say your son wants a gaming computer. Instead of buying it for him or telling him to go flip burgers, you say, pitch the family bank. He has to come to you with a business plan. I want to start washing windows in the neighborhood. Okay, great. He needs a ladder and squeegees. That costs $200. The family bank, the Treasury, lends him the $200. He has to pay it back with interest from his earnings. What have you just done? You haven't just taught him about money. You've taught him about debt, leverage, business planning, and responsibility. And the interest he pays goes back into the Treasury to help his sister later. You are creating a microeconomy in your living room. Now, let's scale this up. Let's talk about the biggest destroyer of wealth for the middle class, the mortgage. Everyone tells you your home is your biggest asset. It's not. It's a liability that you live in. But for the sovereign family, real estate is the chessboard. The goal of the family bank is to eventually own the roofs over your heads, but not in the way you think. There's a strategy called house hacking, which you've probably heard of, but I want to twist it for families. The multi-generational compound. In America, there's a stigma about living with your parents. We are told that success means moving out at 18 and struggling alone in a studio apartment. This is marketing. It's marketing designed to sell 2 toasters, 2 internet subscriptions, 2 sets of furniture. If you look at many Asian and European cultures that have maintained wealth for centuries, they live together, or they live close. Imagine if, instead of you renting an apartment and your parents paying off a mortgage and your brother renting a condo, you pooled that capital. You buy a 4-plex. You live in 1 unit. Your parents in another. Your brother in the 3rd? You rent the 4th one out to a stranger. Suddenly the family's housing expense drops to near 0. The equity buildup is massive. And the asset is owned by the family unit. I know. Zeze, I can't live with my mother-in-law. She drives me crazy. Fair enough. Privacy has a value. But you have to ask yourself, is your desire for total separation worth an extra $1,500 to $100 a month for the next 30 years? Because that is the price tag. If you can't live in the same building, can you live in the same neighborhood? Can you share resources? The wealthy treat their family like a business board. They meet quarterly. When was the last time you had a quarterly business review with your family? I want you to schedule this. This Sunday, sit down. Open the books. Show your spouse and your kids, if they are old enough, exactly where the money is going. Transparency is the disinfectant for financial anxiety. Most people hide money problems from their spouse because they are ashamed. Or they hide it from their kids because they want to protect them. You aren't protecting them. You're blinding them. If you are in debt, tell your family. Guys, we are in a hole. Here's the shovel. We are all going to dig together. You will be shocked at how resilient children are. If you tell a 10-year-old, we can't go to the movies because we are broke, they feel insecure. If you tell a 10-year-old, we aren't going to the movies because we are building an empire and every dollar is a soldier, they feel like part of a mission. They feel like heroes. Change the narrative. Now, I want to talk about something that makes people uncomfortable: insurance. But not the way your insurance agent tries to sell it to you. The wealthy use life insurance differently than we do. For most of us, life insurance is a death benefit. If I die, my family gets a check to pay off the house. That's defense. The wealthy use it as offense. They use products like whole life insurance, and I'm not selling anything here, just explaining the mechanics, as a place to store cash that is protected from taxes and lawsuits. Here is the infinite banking concept simplified. You put money into a policy, it grows. When you need money for a car or a business, you borrow against your own policy. You pay yourself back. You cut the commercial bank out of the loop completely. This takes time to set up, and it takes cash flow. So if you are drowning in credit card debt right now, don't go buy a whole life policy. Clear the debt first, but put it on your radar. The goal is to eventually become your own banker. Let's pivot to the defensive side. The firewall. You work hard. You build assets. And then, a car accident, a lawsuit, a divorce, and half of it is gone. The sovereign family does not own assets in their own names. If I search your name in public records right now, I shouldn't be able to find a list of everything you own. If you own your house in your personal name, you are a walking target. The wealthy use trusts. A trust sounds like something for people with yachts. It's not. A revocable living trust is a piece of paper that says, I don't own this house. The trust owns this house. I just manage the trust. Why does this matter? It matters because it avoids probate. Probate is the court process that happens when you die. It is expensive, it is public, and it takes months or years. If you die with a will, your family goes to court. If you die with a trust, your family gets the keys immediately. No court, no lawyers taking 5% of your estate. Setting up a trust costs maybe $1,500 to $2,000 with a lawyer. It is the best money you will ever spend. It is the final act of love you can give your family, ensuring that your death doesn't cause a bureaucratic nightmare. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about intellectual capital. We spend so much time worrying about leaving our kids money. But if you leave a kid $5 million and no knowledge, he will be broke in 5 years. If you leave a kid $0 but the knowledge of how to build wealth, he will be a millionaire in 5 years. The sovereign family prioritizes education, but not necessarily college. I'm talking about financial literacy. Here is a challenge for you. Start a family book club. Pay your kids to read. If your 12-year-old reads Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or The Richest Man in Babylon, and writes you a one-page report on what they learned, pay them $20. Zeze, I don't have money to pay them for reading. Find it. Cancel Netflix. This is more important. You are downloading software into their brains that will run for the rest of their lives. That $20 investment will return $200,000 in mistakes they don't make when they are 30. You are building the human capital of the family. And this brings me to the hardest part of this entire philosophy. The timeline. We are addicted to get rich quick. Crypto day trading. Lottery tickets. The sovereign family operates on a 100-year timeline. This is a Japanese concept. There are businesses in Japan that have been running for 1,000 years. How? Because they don't think in quarters. They think in generations. You have to be willing to be the person who plants the tree that you will never sit under. That is a heavy thing to accept. It requires a death of the ego. It means you might not drive the Lamborghini. You might drive the Toyota so that your grandson can own the dealership. Are you willing to make that trade? Most people aren't. And that is why most people are forgotten 2 generations after they die. But if you are willing to make that trade, you become immortal in a way. You become the patriarch or the matriarch. You become the face in the painting on the wall that the great-grandkids look at and say, that's him. That's the one who changed everything. Let's look at the family council. This is practical. How do you actually run this? Once a year, you need a retreat. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be camping in the backyard. But you get away from the daily grind. In this retreat, you discuss the vision. What did we achieve this year? What are our goals for next year? Who needs help? Maybe your cousin is struggling to start a business. The family council looks at his plan. The family bank decides if they can fund him. Maybe your aunt is getting older and needs care. The family council figures out how to support her so she doesn't lose her dignity in a state-run facility. We used to do this naturally. Villages did this. Tribes did this. We lost it when we moved to the suburbs and started worshiping independence. We need to reclaim interdependence. There is a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The banking system wants you to go alone. The tax system wants you to go alone. The marketing executives want you to go alone. Rebelling against that is the most punk rock revolutionary thing you can do. Now, I want to address the skeptics. The people thinking, Zeze, my family is toxic. They are bad with money. If I pool money with them, they will steal it. This is a real reality for many people. If your immediate family is toxic, you cannot build a sovereign family with them. You can't build a house with broken bricks. So what do? You start with yourself. You are the genesis point. You build the structure, you write the constitution. And then you invite people in only when they qualify. Maybe it starts with just you and your spouse. Then you teach your kids. If your brother is a gambler, he is not invited to the family bank. This isn't charity, it's an institution. You have to have boundaries. The family bank has loan applications, it has legal contracts. If you lend money to your brother-in-law, you make him sign a promissory note. You put a lien on his car. But Zeze, that's awkward. Family shouldn't sue family. Oh, family shouldn't steal from family either. Clarity is kindness. Writing it down prevents the fight at Thanksgiving dinner. If he knows you can take his car if he doesn't pay, he will pay. Or he won't borrow. Either way, the relationship is protected by boundaries. Let's talk about the tax efficiency of the tribe. Did you know you can hire your kids? If you have a small business, even a side hustle selling on eBay, you can hire your children. If they are under 18, you can pay them up to $13,000 a year. Check the current tax limits, they change. Completely tax-free. They don't pay income tax on it because it's the standard deduction. And you get to deduct that $13,000 as a business expense. So instead of giving them an allowance with after-tax dollars, you pay them a salary with pre-tax dollars. Then, and this is the power move, you make them take that money and put it into a Roth IRA. If you start a Roth IRA for a 10-year-old and put $6,000 a year into it until they are 18, do you know how much that will be worth when they retire? Millions tax-free. This is what I mean by structural advantages. It's not magic, it's reading the rulebook. The government wants you to do this. They wrote the code. You just aren't using it because nobody taught you. We are entering a time in history where the gap between the haves and the have-nots is getting wider. I don't like it, but I can't change the macroeconomic climate, neither can you. What we can do is build an ark. Your family is the ark. When inflation hits 10%, the solitary individual starves. The sovereign family adjusts, they buy in bulk. They share resources, they weather the storm. When the job market crashes, the solitary individual panics. The sovereign family pivots, they employ each other. They leverage the skills within the tribe. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine it is 30 years from now. You are sitting at a long dinner table. There's food everywhere, laughter. Down at the end of the table, you see your adult children. They are confident, they aren't stressed about rent. They are talking about ideas, not bills. You see your grandkids running around, they know their history. They know that grandpa or grandma changed the trajectory of the line. You feel a sense of peace that you cannot buy at a store. You feel the peace of knowing that you did your job. You secured the perimeter. That future is possible, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. It starts with that first boring decision. The decision to open the treasury account. The decision to have the awkward conversation with your spouse. The decision to stop buying liabilities to impress people you don't like. You have the power to do this. The strategies I've outlined, the family bank, the trust, the mission statement, hiring your kids, these are the bricks. You have to be the mason. Don't let another year go by where you are just surviving. It's time to start building the fortress. I'm going to leave you with this thought. Money is just a magnifying glass. If you are a fearful person, money will make you more fearful. If you are a generous person, money will make you more generous. Build the character of your family first, and the money will have a safe place to land. If this conversation sparked something in you, if you felt that little fire in your belly that says, I need to do this, then please share this video with your spouse. Share it with your brother. Use it as the icebreaker to start the family council. And subscribe, because we are going to go deeper into each one of these pillars in the future. We are going to break down the technicals of trusts, the specifics of insurance, and the details of family governance. You are the architect. Start drawing. I'm Zeze. This is about more than money. This is about legacy. I'll see you in the next one.